Very special guest joining us. We've had a couple of those, in fact, today. The guest we had in the last half hour, it was his first time on the air with me at News Radio 1310 KLIX, newsradio1310.com. And this is the first time I've actually had a chance to meet George Urie. We've been having a conversation off air for the last 5 minutes or so. It's great to have you come by. And of course, you're a very, very busy man this time of year,
Yeah.
running for re-election, and there's a primary coming up in May. And then the winner of that still has a long haul because the general election is in November. So there's another 6 month stretch of campaigning ahead. So I would take it that you've done this before, obviously, that this is nothing that you're surprised about.
No, this is typical, and it has to. You just have to do it outside of your normal job. There's a lot of things this time of year that come up that we're required to do. Our Board of Equalization, and we're doing the tax exemption forms and all that. But you find time, you make the time.
We had a conversation off air where we were talking about mandates that come down. Federal government mandates states do various things. States mandate county governments do things. These are rules that are made. Oftentimes, they don't give you the money to pay for the things that they've mandated. And you said, a lot of people out there really don't have a huge understanding of how county government works in that sense, and that much of what you do is controlled by outside forces.
Well, that's right, and it's like we just talked. Most people, amazingly and surprisingly to me, are not aware of what county government does, how they're structured, uh, how they're mandated to perform. And so that's one of the things I would like to see happen is a little bit more education out there to the public of what county government really is, maybe even in the schools. And we're always happy to go to a government class at school and put on a presentation and explain what county government is. And, we don't have time now for me to explain it, but we are dealing with 9 elected officials, and only 3 of those are commissioners. So those elected officials run their own departments their own way, and the commissioners, everybody thinks commissioners control the county, and they don't. All those elected officials do.
This is the type of job too, as well, where uh, we're managing something here that this county hasn't seen probably up until about 20 years ago. And we're talking a little bit about growth. Uh, it's not Scottsdale, Arizona. It's not growing maybe in that sense, but it has been a huge culture shock for, I guess, a lot of people in this area who for decades didn't have to deal with a lot of traffic issues, and so that growth itself has brought a lot of new challenges.
Well, that's right, and luckily we in the last 10 years, well 5 years at least, we've been planning ahead for that. And as everyone knows, look at the expansion that we've made facilities wise, and those are part of the commissioner's duties, or the facilities and the budgeting for those other departments. And I think it all started when St. Luke's the transformation of St. Luke's. So we did have the luxury of having some extra funds coming in from leasing the old hospital to St. Luke's during their construction. So we have put that aside as capital expenditure because it's one-time monies and it'll be gone. So we put that into bricks and mortars, something that will last. So you've seen probably the old courthouse expansion for prosecutor and the sheriff's office. We've expanded our parks department to a different property. We've converted the old property to the sheriff's evidence and training room. We've and of course County West, where we've all moved, the rest of the elected officials have moved to. We hope to create a one-stop shop there, and we've got plenty of room now for expansion of those departments.
When you mentioned that the public often doesn't understand, it's almost like looking at an iceberg. They don't realize how much is beneath that. You see the tip of it sticking out of the water if you're out on the ocean. Uh, One of my coworkers mentioned the other day that there had been some controversy about the bypass, and he said to me, he was very upfront about it. He said they didn't break any laws. He said they posted details, but it was almost as if people were like, well, what is this? Well, the details had been out there for a long time because they were posted. You put meeting minutes up online. The doors are open. People can come in if they like and actually observe certain meetings. And just like the city of Twin Falls, they put the meetings themselves up online. And yet everyone complains about government, but no one really drops in and really sees how it works.
Well, that's true, and there again, that particular situation, I'm aware of it. I'm on a transportation board, but just as a county representative there, the county government, we don't deal with any transportation. We're not a road and bridge county. Some of the counties in the state, the county itself does all the highways and so forth. Here we have highway districts. So
With their own elected
with
officials.
their own elected officials, their own taxing, levying authority. And so this group, this was a study done by transportation in general, countywide. It wasn't a county function, so to speak.
Short of you, though, going up on the courthouse roof with a megaphone, I mean, you've done just about everything you could to make it
Yeah,
public.
well, yeah, as much as we could, as much as our part was in it, there were a lot of other players there, all the highway districts and ITD and everyone else. So that was a study for future growth, and this is what came out of the study. And some days, who knows when that may happen, but
Mm.
that's in the future. So,
Makes your job interesting.
well, it does. Being a part of it, and it's always fun. But
9:13, and of course, George Urie is our guest. He is a member of the Twin Falls County Commission, News Radio 1310 KLIX and News Radio 1310.com with Bill Colley. 44 right now at 13 minutes after 9 o'clock. You have long, long roots in this county. Um, I'm sure from your perspective that gives you an understanding and a better look at what's going on. And I would assume that your experience as well is a selling point when you're campaigning.
well, I would say so, and it goes along with what we just talked about. And what is county government? I mean, I came from a background in city government. I was a mayor and a councilman for many years, businessman, whatever. And I thought I was pretty well up on government till I got to the county level. And then I started studying and finding out what happened. And you can go basically to the state statutes, like Title 31 is county government. It tells you exactly in there what we're required to do, and that's set by the state. So I think knowing that and then going through all these transitions we've been going through, I've learned a lot. And so I think qualifications, I have the qualifications to be commissioner.
We had a caller, I think, one day last week who said to me he thought that we'd had too much growth in the area. And his thought was he'd like to pack up and move away. But uh, the one thing is people are coming here because I think I read that Idaho's tax burden is 39th, which technically makes us just about last in the country. So people are coming here because the weather's somewhat mild. Taxes aren't going to be a burden on people. And now, if you go up Blue Lakes Boulevard, we have all sorts of amenities that people can take advantage of. And even if you live out on the other end of the county, it's not a long drive. Um, you probably could tell people that this growth is not all bad, right?
Well, it's not bad, but hopefully it'll pay for itself because this growth has impacts on the county.
Mm-hmm.
The services we provide, I mean, it increases the numbers that we see in our court system, our jail system, and all the other, our assessor. There's more parcels to assess, the clerk's more work. So, we'll have to grow with it because we're mandated to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And we do at least have the facilities now to be able to do that. So that's behind us.
At least a lot of these people that are coming here obviously are paying property taxes
Right.
and these things, and that's going to help at least
Right.
in that situation pay for some of it.
Exactly.
For someone coming here, if you're traveling somewhere, and I'm sure sometimes business takes you out of town, and they ask you about the area, what do you tell them is the best part of Twin Falls County?
Well, I think it's a way of life, just the way we live here. We have so many opportunities, such a close proximity, all the recreation you could want from skiing to rafting to fishing to hunting. And I think that's one of the big keys.
And having been in the job a long time, is there anything, you mentioned people don't really know a lot about what government does, and most of us, I think that's probably true. Even and I'm in media, and I don't really spend a lot of time reading through minutes of meetings any longer. It's just not. We've got so much that distracts us in life. Uh, but if someone is coming out on primary day and they don't know what they're going to do, or maybe they don't have a lot of background, what would you recommend they do?
Well, I've heard this here recently from a lot of the voters. They don't understand the way the commissioner districts are. A lot of people think that, well, I don't live in District 3, so I can't vote for you. Well, it is a little bit of a strange election in that way, because the candidate has to live in the district, but the whole county votes. So people in Buell, which would be District 1, vote for people in District 3, which would be me. So the whole county votes, the candidate has to live in the district, and a lot of people say, I'd vote for you, but I don't live in your district. So, there again, people need to be educated.
Has it been that way since the county was formed?
Yes.
And so no one's ever thought about changing it to maybe give people more of a proportional sort of.
What, I'm pretty sure that's another statute that's in there. This is the way you do it. I don't run the elections. The clerk runs the elections there again. So, but that's the way it is. And so people, and I'm sure that you'll be, that'll be coming out in the paper or something that says that, I hope, because that's the way it is. I've learned that from talking to the people.
Campaigns have changed drastically over the years too. Now we've got more signage. I think someone in Jerome County told me the other day, the husband of one of the commissioners there said some elections now, even for county commissioner, are running $8,000-9,000. He said this was a thing that we didn't worry about just 10, 15 years ago.
Well, that's true, and I think the commissioner's job here has changed quite a bit. We're full-time commissioners, in a lot of counties, the commissioners maybe meet once a month, some of them once a week, some twice a month, depending on the size of the county and our growth here. We're full-time, and the salary is a lot more than it used to be honest with you.
And that's the growth in the county really that has driven that.
Yes.
And for people who'd like to maybe learn more about your campaign in this day and age, a lot of people are setting up websites. Are you doing any of that?
No, I'm just use the one that I have at the county. I'm kind of an old school person, so.
And you think maybe that voters appreciate at least that somebody has, you know, decided that they're going to maintain the way things used to be when it comes to that?
Well, I'm not sure about that. The facts are the facts, and
There's a nice to have a few traditions though that are still
well, it
involved.
is. I mean, I'm a little older than most of them, of course, and I have a lot of the older ways, work ethics, a lot of things that go along with that I think are a benefit, today.
Well, there are some things about the past that are still good, and
That's right.
we appreciate you coming by today, and wish you good luck. And
Okay.
we may be talking again at some point.
Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me.
George Urie joining us this morning on News Radio 1310 KLIX, newsradio1310.com. We're up to 45 already, into the mid 70s today before it's finished, 20 minutes after 9 o'clock.